that recording.
All right, we're going.
All right, now you can start whatever.
So what happened?
Oh yeah,
What did
they
you have
milked
milked out of you?
they milked my serotonin, Micah.
Wow.
They
I
milked
didn't
all
know.
my serotonin. I got
Is
nothing
that a
left.
euphemism?
I think
A
some people
crude
call it
euphemism?
like con crush.
Hmm.
Our good friend Ben Easter, he was using that term con crush. The post con doldrums. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
now
fine.
now you're getting closer. I have to zoom in now. Okay. Listeners, here we are.
Folks, this is the I Love You Man, a podcast. This is a podcast all
Crawling
about the best ways to milk it
crawling
out of you.
along, inching
To
forward,
milk out
forever
every
forward.
last drop.
Getting it's your boys Zach and Micah
Micah. Well,
getting milked.
I'm Zachy back from Sin City, where the air is so dry I had to use more oil than Diddy. And of course, I've joined with my good friend. He didn't go to Vegas.
I
Maybe
thought
that's
about it
lame.
though. You know,
You thought
I
about that's
thought
true.
about this. I
Well,
was texting you.
it was a problem though. You might think of it's lame, but he wasn't allowed to bring those two guns on the plane. Hello.
Wow,
Okay.
we're back.
We're
Zach, you're in
podcasting,
a
baby.
yeah. You've been drained of your serotonin, and at the same time, you've been no fapping, podding.
Yes, of
So
course.
you have all these different systems, and
It's very confusing because
yeah,
like emotionally I'm like I'm like sort of at a low, like I can't like give you all that much, but my
but
podcast juice is bubbling up.
spiritually, you're bursting at the
I
seams.
think you have to like do something with the prostate to kind of like
Okay.
fix
All
those
right. Well,
levels.
we can get to that.
Yeah.
We also have to talk about your glasses.
Oh yes,
What's
this is
this?
big. What do you
Oh, this is
think?
some
Do we like
housekeeping.
these? This is
That's
my.
nice.
This is. I think we're exactly 1 week with the glasses. Exactly 1 week.
So what precipitated this? What happened?
Oh, my eyesight is very bad.
Okay.
That's what precipitated it. I took an eye exam and they said you are legally not allowed to drive, and I was like, okay.
And you were just raw dogging it before? Do you have
Yeah.
glasses before?
No, no, this is big
Okay.
for me. This
Did
is a big
you
development.
notice at all?
Yes, this was a
Okay.
running thing. I think it's part of the reason that I would fall asleep, kind of get drowsy while driving, is because I couldn't like focus on anything. Right?
I think this is like so emblematic maybe of your life.
Yes. That I will just let a problem languish, like the boxes that are there. We don't
Until
talk
it's
about them.
legally, yeah.
Yeah, until someone
You're
literally
forced by the
forces me.
state, yeah. Well, they look good.
I wish I could say that I took some initiative and I stepped up and I did what I needed to in life. But
But
Nina was like, "I will make you an appointment. Just do this."
oh
And I
my
was like,
god.
"Okay." So
Angel Nina, thank you.
Angel Nina, it has opened some things up for me. I think I am going to start making some
Like seeing
appointments,
things.
seeing things. Yeah.
Do you think this has affected your magic play in any
Uh,
level?
well, this is what I said is that if I do well on the weekend, I can say it's because I can read the cards, and if I do poorly on the weekend, it's going to because I'm like overwhelmed with additional sensory information that I'm not used to. And I did poorly on the weekend, so I guess it's back to raw dog in
Oh,
reality.
Zachy. All right, well we'll get to that.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk. I think if we
Bookmark
should do a
that.
little like Vegas, very very briefly
Oh,
Vegas
I
recap.
totally want. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. But we have a lot to talk about. It's the thing is what I do like about like this model, which we'll see how long it lasts. But like it does feel like every 2-3 weeks there's like some cataclysmic magic news that sends
Yes.
the community into a tizzy,
And we can talk about it.
and we can talk about
What
it.
better forum to express yourself and to commiserate than a podcast
There's no
with our
better
dear
form. This
friend?
is why God created podcasting for this medium.
And listeners and viewers, to give you a peek behind the curtain, another reason maybe there's a delay. We're not only waiting for things to happen for us to talk about, but also we're kind of waiting for our co-hosts to see if they
Want to do it?
Want to do it?
Okay, so look, I don't want to get too into. Look, if you're like a first time listener to this podcast, you're like, well, what are they gonna like get to the riffing, or they're gonna get to the magic? Or what are they talking about their interpersonal like drama or whatever? We'll talk about it at the end, okay? Maybe should we do that?
We'll talk about What are we talking about?
Well, we'll talk about whether or not this podcast will continue at the end.
Why
Is that okay?
Okay. Okay.
Or do you want to talk about
dangle it? We'll
do we have
dangle
to?
it.
Do we have to? Do we have to do it now?
No, we don't have to do it.
Do we have to decide our fate now, Micah?
No, Zach.
Do we have to commit?
No. You never have to commit, as we just discussed.
I will say, like, I do want. See, the thing is,
yes, Zach.
I'm doing the thing where I start a sentence 5 different times, which Mike would never let me get away with. By the way,
I know we miss him.
Yeah, rest in peace, Michael. He sucked down that troll hole. The troll hole. That thing is pumping all the serotonin out of Michael.
And his new venture. There's a new video. What's
Midwest Critters. He has a web show, Midwest Critters.
Go check that out.
With many of our friends, they're working on that. We got James Stanley. We got Tito Maldonado, Lily Meyer, his longtime collaborator. Never asked old Zachy. My invite must have been in the mail. I was available those dates, Michael. No. Me and Mike we're doing good. He did a set at the last Fishbowl, which was last week.
How was the last Fishbowl?
It was phenomenal. They've been getting better and better. These have been great shows. Fishbowl is the comedy show in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It's Sisters Brewing, where comedians trade material. So
you run.
Yeah, I host it. I host it with my dear friend Lucy Biershank, and we had a fun little bit at the start of the show. Lucy came up to me. She was like, "I don't know what to do for the opening of the bit," and I said, "Well, I have something." And Lucy's been going through kind of a tough time because her folks are divorcing.
Oh, shit.
I mean, she's an adult. I think she's emotional enough to handle it. But I got her a card. Sorry, your parents are divorcing card. That just said that her parents are going to hell, and at the very least that she gets 2 Hanukkahs and gets to celebrate 2 Hanukkahs and 2 January 6s. So she'll get double the presents. What a way to start a show.
Zionists and Republicans. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, the most popular people, right, in this client.
What else? Are we just housekeeping? When was the last time we podcasted?
Okay, well, last time we podcasted we were talking about the rules committee, right?
Oh, okay.
And very interestingly, right? Okay, so the rules committee. Last time we potted, the rules committee got dissolved. And so it's taken by
beamed up by
WotC. And then a few weeks later, they announced that they were creating the Commander Format Panel, the CFP. Yes. They got to put the format in there, so so the acronym is good, right? If it's just Commander Panel, that's no good.
No,
we don't Commander Format Panel, CFP. Uh-huh. A lot of people from the RC are, I guess, 2 of the 5 are on the CFP.
But I saw somewhere they were all invited, I think.
Interesting. That makes sense. Yes. But like, I think it is like, what is it, like 19 people? It's like, it's like 20 people, something like that.
I saw somewhere the entire RC and CAG was invited.
Oh, wow. How many people were on the CAG? I don't even know.
Who knows?
Well, anyways, they have their new panel. They did say back when they assumed Commander and they announced the bracket stuff, they said that they were going to have their bracket ideas formulated before MagicCon. And MagicCon has come and now gone, and they did not have it formulated. But it's going to take time, they got a lot of stuff cooking.
They have a lot of stuff cooking, as we'll get to.
Really true.
Why don't we talk about your con experience, Zach?
Sure. I think so. This is my second time in Vegas. The first time I went to a MagicCon. Oh, let's just say I've been to a few of these cons. Micah, you've been to none of these, right?
Yeah, but I'm thinking about it.
You should.
I'm
I
thinking
think.
about it. I got some miles burning a hole in my pocket. Some airline miles.
Well, here's a question: how do you get airline miles?
A
Because
few
I've been
ways.
flying, and I see like, oh, put your frequent flyer number, and I'm like, I don't know
Well,
what
that's a
that is.
start. Yeah, that's a start.
Well, how do you
If
find
you
your number?
you
Where do you live?
start one. You create an account,
One,
start
two, three,
one.
four. I can just start putting that
Sure.
in there, and they're
Yeah.
like, okay, this is Zach
Six
and
nine
Kagan.
six nine. Yeah.
Yeah, 69420.
I have a credit card, airlines credit card.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
the other thing. Talking about doing some basic things to like set up your life as an adult, like getting glasses. I need to get a credit card with points.
Yes.
I didn't realize we talked about this that I don't have points on my credit card.
You have a credit card, but one without points.
No, I have no points.
Yeah.
And
that
in fact,
seems
my bank
not
my bank
ideal.
called me like a month ago or something, or like a couple months ago, and they were like, "Hey, you could like qualify for this like special card. It's got this deal. We'd set up an appointment for us to talk." And I was like, I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
I got so much
So much arena to play.
arena to play and not stream. It's
Um,
very important that I play and not stream it and just keep it secret from everyone.
I will say I haven't had I've had the credit card, specifically airline credit card, for under a year. So I haven't I'm not like a pro or anything, but I'm like, it is one of those, as you said, adult things where I'm like,
Yeah, like
I
why
should
not?
have a airlines credit card.
Yeah.
And my wife and she has one for another airlines. So kind of,
Oh.
we have, between the two of us, two different airlines.
Well, is that part of the thing? You have to like choose a loyalty to an airline. Is that how that works?
That's kind of
Oh,
that's
no.
kind of it, and like what what airline fits with your lifestyle.
Sure.
So is Minnesota a hub?
Yeah, it's a hub. I mean, we have Sun Country as our local airline, but like
Okay.
Delta and all, and like
Okay, you're a
United
Delta,
are all
yeah.
through here
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
So, yeah. Well, this is like thrilling stuff. I'm sure people are like, I wonder why the I Love You Mana podcast is languishing when they have hot bits like how do airline miles work. Look, okay, I went to the there was a con last year. There was a MagicCon last year in Vegas. I did not
Okay.
go to that one.
Okay.
Because I went to the Magic Summit in Utah, which was that other smaller limited tournament where I
Okay.
won the Mox Jet. That was
Right.
last year, believe it or not.
Wow.
So, but this year, the Summit didn't happen. They killed it. They didn't get enough of a turnout last year. They tried to pivot to a CEDH tournament, and they still didn't get enough buy-in, and so they killed the entire tournament. It's very sad.
That is sad. So you
So-
went, yeah.
So I upgraded. I went to the big con in Vegas, and I went to the fake GP, the Channel Fireball GP during COVID. That was like 2021. That was the we had an episode about it in 2021. I sent you. That was the one where I like sent you like voicemails in between rounds
I do remember that.
of my event, and Mike got so mad that I wasn't interviewing like
I do remember that.
content creators or whatever. I was just
Chewy is
eating
still
my bagel.
psychically shocked by that. Uber Chewy.
Okay, what was I supposed to do? Okay, am I supposed to
Well-
just like?
You talk to people. I don't know.
I should.
Yeah, but we didn't set you up for success. You didn't have any, I Love You Mana swag.
Yeah, and we didn't do
So-
it this year either. Like I should have I Love You Mana swag. I should have swag. I should have like
Maybe you should just have Zach Kagan swag though.
maybe based on how this podcast is going.
Or
I-
maybe you should have Belly Television swag, and just have them watch my stream. It's not even Magic related. Just like, hey, do you want to watch the stream?
If you get me a T-shirt, I'll wear a T-shirt. You know?
Well, I'm cooking up something.
Okay.
I'm cooking up
So this is
something.
good. See, okay, I wore my I Love You Mana T-shirt,
Oh,
and
that's
I
nice.
I wore it to a penthouse party. It was
A
very
penthouse party. Oh, right, like a literal penthouse, not
yeah, like a penthouse of so
Of a
I'm
hotel,
not allowed
yeah.
to spill too much tea about this.
Ooh, okay.
Well, I just want to be like chill, right? But like there was a guy. Basically, there's a guy whose dad is a heavy roller. Was that what they call him?
Sure.
A big gambler at a casino, and he gets comped a penthouse suite. And there's just like the Saturday night, there was a party with like all sorts of Magic, people, just like pro players, people on at Worlds, so some of them are known associates,
Ooh.
and just like a lot of people were there, including like content creators. And I don't want to like name names, but
Did you wear the shirt there?
I wore the shirt. Yeah.
Did it get any heat or?
No, no one was like, okay, actually, I'll tell you this. One person looked at it and thought it was a shirt for the Goblin Lore podcast.
Okay.
Which
That's
is like, because
nice.
it has a goblin
Right,
on it.
Yeah.
So, shout out to Hobbs, the host
Yeah.
of the Goblin Lore podcast. Did not follow our account back on Twitter.
Okay.
So, nothing but W's in Vegas. I had a great time.
Did you have fun though? Like with
I had
your
a
friends?
fantastic time.
Okay.
Even though I didn't do like great in limited, I had a lot of very funny games. In terms of like how things played out. I got to go to this penthouse party. We went to great restaurants. The event was super fun. We went to the buffet at Caesar's Palace. Had like $100 buffet with prime rib and lobster and crab legs and all sorts of like crazy things. And I'm like, I still have the meat sweats from that dinner. Of course, for the penthouse party, I got to play $1 million cube, Aqua's cube. So there's a guy, I only know him as Aqua. He's like Aqua One on Twitter. Okay. He owns a cube, like a fully powered vintage cube.
Oh, I see.
In
That's
which,
worth.
like basically, like with Black Lotus and like the full power 9 and like everything, right? He like. But it's not just that it's like a fully powered vintage cube. All of the cards have been altered and signed by the artists. So like Black Lotus and like all these things have been signed by the artist, and in some cases like altered with like doodles and stuff. He has like the original lands, like the original basics, altered by like Mark Poole with like UFOs and little stick figures and stuff, like from the artists. So everything is customized in like a crazy fashion, and it's just like these cards are like triple sleeved, and you're like, what am I supposed to do with this, right?
Wow.
I can send you my deck list. I've just
please.
played like I played blue white like tempo. It was like a very aggro deck, but I had Tinker for the one ring. It was nice. I only because we played it at midnight. We started the cube draft at midnight after a full day of playing Magic.
So you played like 2 games and then
exactly.
Yeah.
I played one round and then everyone decided to go to bed. But it was like at like we went to bed at like 2 a.m. or something. Or no,
Sickos.
We probably got back to the hotel at like 3 a.m. It was wild. This is like you're.
Well, I'm happy for you, Zach. You had so much fun.
I had a ton of fun. I played. I got to meet a ton of like content creators, people that I like. I got to meet Magic designers like Mark Rosewater and Emma Handy.
Wait, you've met Mark Rosewater before?
Yeah, I met him before, right. But this time it was more chill.
Okay,
I didn't try to make a Roseanne joke.
Did you talk, like have a conversation? Or
no, he was like swarmed with people. I was just like, he was asked if I wanted anything signed, and I was like, I think I'm okay. And he was like, okay, bye. I wanted to get something. If I was gonna get something signed by him, I would get him like a card that he
signed?
designed.
Oh,
you know what I should have gotten signed?
I really don't.
I brought with me some like random tokens just for the limited tournament, and I had some like
from Infinity.
I had some like sticker sheets from Unfinity. I should have had him sign a sticker sheet. That would have been good.
And then throw them in the trash.
I played. Okay, I played. Since I didn't make day 2 of either of my events, I had a kind of good run in the PTQ, but I didn't quite make day 2. It was actually very sad. I was I was not a heater. I was like up like 4-0-1 because I had Drew, and then I was like things were looking good for me. But then the round was going super long, and I ended up chit chatting with Alex Nikolic, which is like he's the Court of Calls like limited. He's got a limited content. He's got a limited stream, and podcasts. He's got good content. I was chit chatting with him, and I didn't notice that my round timer started, and I had to like rush back to find my seat for my next round, and I was just about a minute late for my round. And my opponent shoots up his hand and calls for the judge. And the judge rules that I was over a minute late, so I got a game loss. It was very, very sad.
So that would have come in handy.
Yeah, I mean, like we still had to play. You know, it's like I start with a game down, right? I have to win 2 in a row, and I did not win 2 in a row.
Right. Okay. So. I'm getting the call from Cannoli that she'd like to come in. So can you riff for a little? And
then... Yeah, we can riff. I can tell like some other like funny stories. I played Two-Headed Giant. I did one of the unknown events, like the Gavin Fairhead unknown events, but like it was run by Mark Rosewater on Sunday because I wasn't in day 2 of anything. So, you know, both me and Greg from the System Magic stream, we played Two-Headed Giant Commander with, you know, just like randoms in the unknown event. And we had pretty powerful decks. This was like the event where you could like play with the playtest cards, like this thing. These cards, like some of them are kind of nonsense, but some of them are busted. Like this Lewis Stardust card, the Sprinkler of Stardust. This card is like fucked up. So we were playing Two-Headed Giant Commander. We crush our round 1 opponent. Like our decks are nutty. I mean that you'd expect because they're like, you know, 12. You're opening 12 boosters, and then you get an additional pack of fake cards. So it's like, you know, you have 14 boosters amongst 2 people. Your decks are going to be pretty powerful. But then we get to our round 2 opponents, and it's like 2 CDH players who like know what they're doing. They're actually from the Spike Feeders, I guess. You know, which are content creator guys.
Oh hell yeah!
I don't know which of the Spike Feeder guy it was, but it's like one of the Spike Feeder guys and his friend.
Yeah. Okay.
And so we're playing, right? And these guys are good, and they both have like for their commanders, they both have 2 playtest cards. These fake playtest cards. Bro, are you kidding me? Cannoli is just like, she's found her perch.
Yeah, she loves perching on my laptop, on my computer tower, except she has turned the computer off. There's the power button right here. She's legitimately just turned the computer off once.
So if that happens, does that mean just like you'll shut off?
Yeah, you'll have to just rift for like 5 minutes. Okay. So
okay.
You know. Okay, so can you catch me up? I didn't hear. I didn't hear any of it.
So
you're playing EDH.
I played Two-Headed Giant Sealed Commander. So like 60 card deck.
Oh my god!
You're like allowed to have duplicates.
Magic did you get in? Jesus Christ! Dude, it was like a tantric sex.
This is wild, right? And I'm playing with Greg Michael from like the System Magic stream.
Yes.
So good player.
Friend of the show.
So we're now playing our second round versus CDH players, and they have also very powerful decks. They have like there's this fake playtest card called like it's something like Bird of Paradise Rift. It's a 3-mana 1/1 that with flying, 3-mana green 1/1 with flying that says like all of your first off its color identity is all colors, so lets you play rainbow, and then it says you can tap and pay 1 to make a Bird of Paradise creature token. So a 0/1 flying bird that taps for a mana of any color.
Wow.
So it just poops out Birds of Paradise. And then it says other birds you control get +1/+1 until, you know, basically like a lord effect for birds. So, you know, now the Birds of Paradise are 1/2s. So it's and they have 2 of them, and they're each using it from their commanders. So they're just like, okay, mana ramp and, pooping out mana dorks is busted. We're both going to do it. So that's who we're playing against. I have a really nice opening hand. I'm like this Esper, like I'm blue-black splash white for Teferi, Hero of Dominaria.
Okay.
And Greg is playing Aronis, the god, right? God of victory, this guy.
Okay.
So Greg is playing like Boros Beats. And I have a really nice hand with like lands and Teferi, and Greg has just an aggro start, and we're starting off great. But I just keep drawing lands. I draw so many lands. I draw all of my 3 basic planes.
Okay.
Right? That I'm using to splash Teferi. And Greg is just beating down and doing normal Boros aggro stuff, and I'm just drawing plants, and like we're kind of remarking, okay, it's a little sad that I'm flooding out, but like it's fine. I cast Teferi gets removed, it's okay. Greg's beating down. But then the tide starts shifting because Greg is like lifting everything here while I keep drawing lands, and our opponents are like, okay, I hope you draw some action soon, but they're turning the corner, and then I draw a mountain in my blue-black/white deck.
Okay.
So the problem is that I pre-sleeve basics before I go to these events because I'm because I'm missing some parts of my hands. My sleeving is pretty slow for me. I like to just have basic sleeves so I can just throw them into my deck. And between rounds, I had accidentally shuffled my stack of basics into my deck.
Zach.
So basically, we just I comically flood out. I start drawing my forests.
Did you tell them?
Yes, obviously we told them, right? And but like it's a casual event. Like I think our records don't matter, so we're like, okay, whatever, we'll play through it.
What? Why didn't you just restart?
Well, we can't restart. Like
it was casual.
The one thing we could do is call a judge and have the judge explain the situation, and then probably they would remove the basics from my deck, those basics from my deck, and then reshuffle. But that's so much work for a casual event. And Greg was like, "It's fine, we'll just play through it." And of course, we just lost. So, oh well.
Okay.
But this is the kind of this is the kind of wacky, weird stuff happens at a MagicCon.
Okay.
My command, I had a very annoying commander, by the way, which caused some other problems. I had my commander
What the fuck is that?
It's a playtest card from Mystery Booster 2. Oh, I played some Mystery Booster 2 drafts.
How much? Okay. Can you
how much magic did I
how
play?
many discrete magic and I'm gonna count the $1 million cube. How many discrete events did you play?
I'll list them off. Okay.
Okay. I'll count.
So Friday I played the 100K. But then I did poorly in it, and I basically 2-3 dropped. So then I went and I played I went to go play a Duskmorn on-demand draft. But when I went to go play, there was these guys that beckoned over to me. They beckoned to me, and they said, "Would you like to play $100 high roller Duskmorn draft? Whoever you pay $100 entry, and the winner gets 3 collector booster boxes." And I was like, no, I'm really trying to practice for my event tomorrow. It's another Duskmorn sealed event, so I just really want to play regular Duskmorn. And they were like, we've been waiting for an hour to fire this event. We will pay for your entry. And I was like, you're going to pay for $100 entry? Sure. So then I realized that this guy who was offering to pay for me was drunk, because they were they had alcohol sales in the convention hall. So this guy was tipsy.
Okay.
But he staggers over to the ticket booth, buys first he buys half the amount of tickets, and I remind him that it's $100, so you have to have 20 tickets, and so then he buys the other half. And then I get into this draft, and this story should end with Zachy walks away with 3 collector booster boxes, right? Half of these guys are drunk. But round 1, I play against an opponent who is this guy's friend, who is also kind of drunk, who just had all of the Jund rares from Duskboard, and I got outvalued in my weird Mardu grindy deck. So sad ending to the story, unfortunately. It doesn't really have the payoff I would have wanted. I guess it's my comeuppance for taking $100 free entries that I just
sure. And I feel like the guy dangled it. He might have been drunk, but maybe he was like, all right, maybe I'll just pay half. And the guy will get the message that I'm doing him a favor.
No, dude. He said he was going to pay for my entry.
Yeah, no. You that's fine.
So okay, I did that.
So that's 3. We're up to 3.
Then I did a mystery booster draft.
Okay, four.
On Friday.
This is Friday still?
This is Friday, yeah. Then Friday night I did the $1 million cube.
Okay, so 5 events in one day.
Yeah, on Friday.
Okay.
And then Saturday I did the PTQ, which I
6.
So I played. I since I went to the full like 8 rounds of that like I went pretty late into the day, so I didn't get to play any mystery booster draft. I just did that, and then I went to this penthouse party. Then Sunday, so is that 6 or 7? I think maybe it's 6.
6.
And then Sunday I did a mystery booster draft in the morning, and then I did a 2-headed giant in the afternoon.
Okay,
so that's not like 8. Crazy. 8 events
over 3 days.
Yeah, that's not
okay. Not that crazy. The 5 in one day though, that's like truly deranged sicko behavior.
But that's because I scrubbed out of the big event. That's pretty demoralizing. You gotta get back in the queue. Yeah, what are you gonna do, right?
Yeah, lest you sit with your thoughts.
Yeah.
Well, can we talk about this a little? Peek behind another curtain.
Sure.
Where you were stressing for this.
Yeah, I was. I was stressing a little bit.
And has your mindset changed on, like, how has this affected your trajectory?
I'll be honest. I was stressing for this tournament, and because I wanted to do well, because I've sort of like looked at it, right, and like I did really well in the PTQ in Chicago, and then I won this event in. I got second in this event in Utah, and previous to that, I did really well in the PTQ, but still in Q in Minneapolis. So I had kind of like a hot streak of events, and I didn't want to kind of let it down. Like I felt that pressure to perform, and also I want to I'm friends with a lot of competitive, like very good players. I want to kind of show that I'm able to hang out with the crew. So I felt that kind of pressure. But honestly, I had just so much fun hanging out with people. And I never had this feeling of like, oh, I have to achieve a certain level or I'm not allowed to hang with the crew. Like, it's just like, I don't know. It's
your internal hang-ups maybe for a sec where you felt like, oh, to hang with this elite crew of Magic players, I also have to continue to be elite.
Yeah.
And it's somewhere along the weekend, you're like, you know what? It's okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny though, because I'm friends with because I'm friends with these guys. They all assume that I'm like way better than I am. They were like, "Oh, I heard that you like won, a Murktide," and I was like, "Nope, not me. I'm just chilling."
So I'm now gonna continue my manifesting for you, Zach, which is you're gonna continue to do this, right? This brings you so much joy to go to these events.
I think it's very likely I will go to Chicago, which they've announced.
Which when is that?
That's February. So I think I will be going to Chicago for sure. Which is I don't know if I'm going to go to Vegas in the summer. That's gonna kind of be interesting.
Now, do you see Cannoli? Okay, I'm gonna have to. She's in the danger zone again.
Oh, because now she's on the collectibles wall.
Yeah, she's on the collectibles wall.
I did also. I guess I didn't want to name drop too much of like the people who were at this like penthouse party, but well, I mean, this is a little complicated because of our history, But Ricky Ramen was there,
You're shitting me, Ricky.
Yeah, Ricky. Look, when I tell you everyone was there, everyone was there. He didn't even have a badge. Was Tor there?
Yeah.
Tor was not there. I've not seen Tor. I haven't seen hide or hair of Tor.
Okay.
But Ricky Ramen was.
But Ricky was there. How's Ricky doing?
Ricky's fine. He didn't even get a badge to the convention. He wasn't even there for the convention. Really, he was just like, "Yeah, I guess I'll go to this party." Like whatever.
I wonder if I'll ever see Ricky Ramen again.
Yeah.
Or if he'll just live on in our hearts.
I think we will see Ricky Ramen again. I think it's highly unlikely that he's gone forever.
You're a believer. I'm a cynic.
Well, speaking of cynic, I think we've gotten deep.
That's a good setup. One more thing though, before we get to the meat.
Okay, Columbo.
I want to manifest this for you, Zach.
Uh-huh.
Zach, I want you to get a coach going into this next year, 2025. That's my goal for you. I think it'll be super fun.
I think so too.
Get a fucking legit ass coach,
Uh-huh.
content creator, pro player.
I think I need.
Ask them if you can like stream your sessions. I'm sure they'll be down for it.
Yeah. I think
Our listeners would fucking love. They would eat that shit up. Our little hoggy listeners would love that shit. We could watch you with an actual coach. I think this is what you need.
Because I think I'm missing some parts. So I think so much of competitive players like background is this like being forged as like young little babies on the competitive Magic circuit,
Sure.
or like playing in these shops. It was just like a kind of background that I never had because my parents did not want me to do that, right? For good reason. I'm sorry it didn't take. But I think it would be really fun. And I think also like one of the things about streaming is that and one of the reasons that I like, say, watching the System Magic guys is that like, streaming with like a crew of like a group of like more than just one person, right? It feels so much more fun, like it's a lot of work to like a lot of vamping to like make streaming
You're telling me
interesting. I mean, I think you're good at it, Micah, but it takes effort.
Man. It does take it does take effort. It's pretty draining, especially if you have viewers up and you're like putting in the effort to like no one. That can be demoralizing.
Yeah, but I'm not even like talking about that. Like,
yeah, but just the act of stream. Yeah,
it's just like when you're doing like the idea of like streaming with people and having it be like more like a podcast, because that's what I like. Like I enjoy just like riffing and goofing around by myself. That's fun too. Like I enjoy streaming, but I think having someone else be there and make it like with a purpose to learn a format, to learn a deck, to learn something from someone who is more experienced.
Yeah,
I'd love to do that.
You need a mentor. You need a mentor or a coach. I mean, you don't always need one to improve, but I think it's one of the most surefire ways to improve a craft that you care about.
Well, the other thing is I was trying to figure out a good time to do it. A good like schedule, because that's the thing is you have to pick a schedule and you have to keep it tight, keep it focused. So I'm kind of playing around with exactly what I want to do.
So listeners, viewers.
Oh, the other thing is
chime in if you think Zachy should get a coach in 2025.
Part of the thing is if I get a coach, like I guess we could just like bring them in remotely, kind of like our our thing. That's fine. But I would also like I like it when like someone like comes over and we're chilling together.
Okay, well you can't pay someone to be your friend.
Well, I mean, you kind of can.
Yeah, I mean, you can. I mean, okay, do you want, like, should we get a prostitute for you? Right? What do you want? What do you want?
Well, okay, think about it this way, right? I'm a Twitch subscriber to you, and I'm a Twitch subscriber to Greg and Andrew, the System Magic boys. They're my friends. You can say I'm kind of paying them. I mean, it's so weird, right? Because like you have to be like, if your friend's got a Patreon and you're not on that Patreon, like that's tough. Right?
So you're saying if I make a Patreon? No, I'm kidding.
But it is
tough,
big, right?
Yeah, it's like if you're a certain like level of friendship, I think.
Yeah, it's like, are you not going to support them in this thing? It's like this bar.
But I also think that shows how generous you are. You have a quiet generosity, Zach. Mm-hmm. Which I think some people don't recognize. But I'll put it out there.
Well, not generous enough to refund this guy his $100 after I get clobbered. No,
but he said it. He put it out in the world. You shook on it. Whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Should we get to?
Sure. Let's talk. We've made the poor listener suffer through enough of Zachy's weekend. Let's talk about what they came here for, the drama.
Our pro analysis.
Well, I think okay. Speaking of like this like weekend, this penthouse party, I overheard some people at this penthouse party who are like, you know, people who buy cards, people who supply LGSs, people who are like analysts for banks who like work on the Hasbro accounts and stuff. I was like kind of shocked the kind of movers and shakers that seem to be around, and just like their kind of opinion of like what's happening in Magic and how we're sort of like churning through the player base, right, and churning through IP and sets and stuff. It's interesting. Like,
what was the straw poll?
I mean, it seems like basically people feel like we're making money for now. How long it's going to last, you know, I don't know. But the things that they're doing are going to give short-term returns. So, what are we talking about?
What are we talking about?
You know, I didn't know. So, you know, I did 8 events this weekend, right? I did not spending a lot of time like on my phone.
You weren't in panels or whatever.
No, I wasn't. I was like focused 100% on gaming because I'm a degenerate.
Did you get it from? I mean, I'm sure you got it from someone else, but I was like DMing you, messaging you.
Yeah.
Like, so you got it from.
I think one of my opponents was like, "Can you believe that they're gonna make like Universes Beyond legal in everything?" And I was like, "What does that mean?" And he was like, "You know, whatever." And we played our match. But yeah, that's like I didn't understand what it was. Later at dinner, I asked like, you know, Dan Weiss or something, like, you know, what that like meant, and he was just like, "Yeah, it's just everything's standard legal now." And that's how I learned. I learned at dinner that Magic is now officially, you know, diving head first into Fortnite.
Yeah. So one of the panels, and I don't know what it was called, but we all saw the reaction of content creators. So they announced
what has happened, Micah.
What has happened? Everything's standard now, right?
Well, what does everything standard mean?
Basically all the product they put out. Well, all the Universes Beyond are going to go straight to standard.
So they have 6 sets now out next year. We don't have to list what they are. Okay. But every single one of them is standard legal.
Okay.
And
the first, well, 3 of them are within the Magic IP, correct?
Yes.
The first being Aether Drift, which I want to get back to because I'm going to put it out there right now. 2025 might be the most excited I am for Magic.
It's so interesting because I am like, I'm deeply skeptical. And I want to get like either side of this.
Yeah.
Like, there's some part of me that is like, you know, I know that like, you know, people are going to call me a boomer or like you could call me a boomer or whatever. But part of me is sad that we're entering this world.
And I think that's fair. Okay. So the first set, 6 sets, as Zach said. First is 3 of them are going to be Magic IP. First being Aether Drift. The next one is going to be, and Aether Drift is like
that's the Death Race set.
The Death Race branding I've seen, and I think it goes from Kaladesh to 1 or 2 other planes. Like so what I've seen has been Kaladesh coded for sure, but I'm excited to see what else we get to see.
I haven't seen anything from Death Race. I've maybe seen one
circle
image
back
of
to that.
Chandra on a motorcycle.
Then the next big set coming out is Final Fantasy Universes Beyond.
Yes.
Which will be, I think that's in like April, and that will be standard.
That'll be standard legal.
Then the next one, what's the next one?
I think the next one might be Tarkir.
Okay, yes. The dragon.
Dragon Storms of Tarkir.
And then another Universes Beyond. Do we know what that one is? God, we do so much great research here.
I think the next one out is another standard set. I think it's the Eternity set, and then it's going to be whatever.
When does Foundations happen? When does that drop? Is that this year? Is that December?
Foundations is releasing in like 2 weeks.
Oh hell yeah, pimp!
So like
so
this whole week is Foundation spoilers, which is like this new core set. Then next year there are going to be 3 Magic IP sets, which is crazy that we're going to call it Magic IP, but sure. And then 3, they increased it from 2. It was going to be just 2, and then they pushed it to 3. They've delayed Lorwyn.
Yes, they pushed back Lorwyn.
And now there's going to be 3 Universes Beyond sets.
Oh, one
of them is
Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy. One of them is Marvel Spider-Man. So I guess I don't know if it's just going to be Spider-Man like heroes and villains, and like we're not going to get like other Marvel heroes or whatever. And then the last one is yet to be announced. So some unknown event that set that's going to be the last set of the year. It's going to be another Universes Beyond set. They're all standard legal. Now, there were six standard. There were more than six sets, draftable sets in 2024. Right? There were in 2024. We got Ravnica remastered. We got that was like a remastered set. But the new sets there were six. So it's 6 and 6. So the sets from this year were Murders at Markov Manor, OTJ, Modern Horizons 3, Bloomborough, Duskmorn, and now Foundations. So 6 sets with new cards. Actually, that's not even true because there's also Assassin's Creed, but that wasn't a draftable set. That was like a mini set.
Yeah.
So basically, they're saying it's the same number of sets as it was this year. They're not adding sets. There's one remastered set they're going to do Innistrad remastered. Speaking of that, I have they announced they're going to reprint Edgar Markov. I have the original Edgar Markov Commander deck that was like selling for like $400 that I didn't sell, and now they're going to reprint Edgar Markov. So Zach,
did you check the price? Zach, you gotta just sell these.
I gotta sell these.
You got
things.
so fucking hosed on the.
I got hosed on Terror of the Peaks. I got hosed on the Commander bands.
You gotta sell it. Yeah. Sell it and have it pay for your first few lessons with the coach.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
There you go.
Okay, so one of the big announcements in all of this is that didn't they say explicitly moving forward it's going to be half Universes Beyond, half Magic IP, like
Did
3 and 3.
That?
I think they explicitly said that.
If they said that, that's a little bit that makes me sad actually because I was listening to
we both pre-gamed with the MTG Goldfish. For different reasons. I was on suicide watch for Saffron Olive.
Do you think he's really that sad? I think he doesn't like these changes.
I'll say I love Saffron Olive. I love Seth. I just I find it fascinating that this is his life and his his life is being a content creator around Magic.
Yes.
And so much of the time he's bemoaning and sad for Magic. And I get that, but sometimes that's how people, that's just how they are in the world, and that's how they communicate. And that might not be actually how they feel, but it's just odd to me.
I don't see Seth as that negative,
He's been pretty down. He was pretty down on the Commander news. He was pretty down on on all of this news that we're unpacking now. I mean, anyway, this is an aside. Okay, where were you going with this?
Well, because I brought it up because Richard was pointing out how okay, there's going to be sure it's going to be 3 universes, but it's going to be half and half this year, and next year it's going to be 75%, and then there's going to be one Magic set.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy, but who knows if it could. And I think part of it too is when Universes Beyond first came out, there was language or some article where they said this will never be standard, or we'll never bring this to standard.
They wanted to keep it specifically separate because they wanted standard sets to be sort of a pure Magic thing, right? They don't. I think they didn't want people to worry about the cardboard crack comic where I attack with Peter Griffin. I activate Magneto, SpongeBob. Yeah,
I think, and we should delineate too. MTG Goldfish brings it up, and by the way, listen to that pod. It's a good pod, and we love those boys. But they brought up that concurrent to this, or around the same time, a SpongeBob Secret Lair was announced.
Yes,
and that is not part of this. That's not going to be standard legal. That's just a secret layer that's happening. But
whatever.
The dam has broken. Who knows in 2 years?
Well, this is okay. So Crim's, I'm just like going to go through all of their points kind of because
Yeah.
I just listened to this. But like Crim's point is like, oh, where are these standard players coming from, right? Like who plays standard? Like, everyone plays EDH. EDH is the biggest format. There's been Universes Beyond all over EDH for the last 2 years. So what's the big deal? And I think part of the reason that like I kind of get his point because I get he really likes this stuff. Whatever.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
he's like in for all this crap. But I think a lot of the competitive or like the long term like grindy players, the players who have been like playing standard and playing like 1v1 constructed formats and just playing for a long time, maybe they're cube enjoyers, like these like people who are really dedicated to the game, are playing for a while. A lot of them like have this sort of revulsion to this, right?
Yeah. Well, that's interesting you said that because now we're just we're heavily citing this podcast episode, so listeners, you'll have to. Richard brought up a point. It's like he hated, I think, Duskmourn, but he still played the shit out of it.
Yeah.
Because on some level, Magic works because you don't have to engage with like the flavor and lore if you just like it as a strategy card game. Like you can tune out of that for a set if you want, and then come back to the next set if that makes you feel some type of way.
I guess. I mean, there's some problems to that though, right?
Okay,
because,
what are the problems, Zachy?
So, okay, part of what sells like cards, I think, are not super interesting if it's just like a 100% a game piece with no flavor.
Sure.
Part of what attracts you to Magic as a game is that the flavor sells you on a story of the card, and I think a lot of people's like most favorite cards are cards that like tell stories in some ways, so that like communicates their flavor and their function in the game. When those meld, that's the good stuff, right?
Well, this is setting up one of my main salvos, one of my main points for this.
Okay.
Which is to say, the side you're outlining, Zach, is sad about this announcement because they're bemoaning the loss of all of that flavor, that potential flavor of luxuriating in the Magic IP, right? Okay.
Too much of a fine.
Okay. But here's what I have to say to that.
Sure.
Maybe we need Mark Rose. Maybe we need Morrow to step off the gas a little. They need to take a little break from world building. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Let's just let them focus on 2 or 3 worlds instead of 6 every year.
Sure.
And let's just let it breathe a little. Let the Magic IP breathe. Okay. Change is good.
Okay.
Maybe 6 worlds, 6 planes, visiting 6 planes every year is not great. Maybe it's not sustainable. Maybe the quality of that flavor was going down. So
100%. Okay, we talked about this at dinner at the dinner after this was announced on like Friday night, right? Where Paul Green, who top aided the 100K, his reaction was like, this is all baby shit. Before it was fine that Commander players had to deal with Universes Beyond. I didn't care. Like Lord of the Rings was like mostly inoffensive enough, but like now, like you're gonna play standard. You're gonna have to play Uncle Ben combo or whatever. That was sort of his approach, and one of the things that I at first I was like a little bit more. Actually, I was more positive. My initial approach, because I was like thinking about Final Fantasy, and I don't really know that much about Final Fantasy, but I was like, how can it be worse than OTJ, right? Like, it really can't, right? Yeah. OTJ was, like, so hokey and atrocious and, like, honestly did a lot of damage to Magic lore, that came before it, right? Because you had a lot of characters from different planes show up in OTJ and, like...
slapping a cowboy hat on it.
Yeah,
or murders at Karlov Mansion. That was a bust, too. Yeah. Putting on fucking detectives.
Yeah, and like having suddenly Ravnica is a city of 10 guilds, but now there's this additional detective agency, which is Azorius.
Yeah, so they were like burning through the material too much. I think it's clear that they were.
But this is just the sad thing is that we've gotten to the point because we were going so fast and going so hard that we've basically it seems like the team at WotC have kind of declared narrative surrender, just being we cannot.
But only the sickos read all the lore narrative shit that comes out. Who reads all that shit?
But still, there's stuff. I don't know.
What stuff, Zach?
I don't know. You look at the reprints that they've announced.
Yeah.
Some of the reprints that they've announced from foundations, a Solemn Simulacrum being reprinted. That's a card that has maybe it's not super flavorful, but it just has this kind of history of a card that's it's old, but it's still pretty playable, and it represents Mirrodin before it got Phyrexianized, and I think there's value to those narratives, right? Even if they're even though there's a lot of junk,
and there's not going away. There's still an opportunity. It's just going to share the limelight with Fortnite,
Final Fantasy, and SpongeBob.
And I'll say I am laughing, Zach, because this is truly just a children's card game. But I do resonate. It is sad. And I feel for the people who are sad about this. And I mean, I don't know. I think, again, to reference the MTG Goldfish pod, I think Richard's point, he had a great point of things change. Things in life change all the time. Nothing is static. Life is constant change. And so this game kind of has to change for it to be a business. Of course it's going to change. It's not going to stay the same because the business model is changing. And some of that is by their own doing, by burning through their IP and going too hoggy, right? But they're a corporation. Of course they're going to do that. It's just, yeah.
I mean, part of what brought people to the game was, back in the 90s was the art and, just cool, cool stuff a big angel. Or
they're still doing art. It's not gonna just be text based.
Yeah, I know. But I remember I was
why are you gatekeeping?
I'm not gatekeeping. Okay. I'm not saying that people can't join and can't come to Magic or whatever. Right. But I think part of the thing is okay, I play standard, I have a standard deck, and I'm moderately invested in standard as a format because it's going to be some of the competitive formats in this next year. It was some of the competitive formats this year that I played, so it made sense to have a standard deck. They want people to have standard decks, right? I get the beneficial thing for bringing new players. They don't want to bring in new players and say, your cards are not legal in standard. You have to play modern, which is this incredibly complicated format.
Or commander,
right? Yeah. Or commander, which is this other thing. They want people to get in on standard because that's the idea is that's the ground
the starting
floor
point, the ground floor, yeah.
But okay, when I go to play my event or whatever, am I going to after, for example, Final Fantasy comes out, am I going to have to put some chocobos in whatever?
What's so wrong with that? Why is that weird? You don't like the idea of the two IPs, Magic and other IPs, mixing?
It's just
I feel like they've demonstrated through Lord of the Rings that it's doable.
Yeah,
I think the Lord of the Rings product was great. The D&D product was great.
Lord of the Rings was Lord of the Rings is as palatable as an IP as possibly can be for Magic players because clearly Magic is inspired off of Lord of the Rings. Okay. And I think probably Final Fantasy is going to be pretty similar because there is like some final like there Final Fantasy is ultimately like a fantasy property, right? With like fantasy tropes. It's got some like science fiction and stuff
Yeah, it's
added
got
to it.
like science fantasy
Yeah,
hinging on science fiction sometimes,
but I
which is
think
like Kamigawa. I don't know.
sure. I think part of the thing is like when I look at a card, like when I look at I know because I haven't played these games. When like someone shows me the Sephiroth or whatever that guy's card,
Sephiroth.
right?
Yeah, Zaddy.
Like I'm not gonna like the card is gonna like have some mechanics that reference Sephiroth or like tell some sort of story like related to the video game that I haven't played, and so I'm not gonna have that kind of connection to it, right? Like someone's gonna have to
So just
explain to me.
pretend. What if you pretend? What if you use just this little mental trick, Zach? Pretend that Final Fantasy. Pretend Mark Rosewater created Final Fantasy.
But it's
Pretend
not.
it's a magic set. It's Magic World.
But the truth is that like Magic does this already, right? Like they point
Yeah.
out like
Okay. Here's my other point.
like
We're gonna stop Wizards of the Coast from fucking stealing IP from other people.
yeah, okay. Like
We're
for
cutting down on
example,
that.
like for example, like there's
Bloomborough, Strixhaven.
yeah.
They don't have to do that anymore. They can just go straight to the source.
I mean, I'm not sure if people actually want a Harry Potter set.
No.
But yes,
That's
Bloomborough is
honestly, Zach.
right?
Honestly, that might be in play. A Harry Potter set.
Pardon? Sorry,
It might be in. It might be in play. A Harry Potter set.
That you think they would actually do that? Because like people got so mad just with like the thought that Strixhaven might have Harry Potter cards because of J.K. Rowling.
I think it. I don't know.
I think they could do it.
Yeah,
But
one would like to think they're savvy enough to know that Harry Potter is.
I think that Strixhaven sidesteps it nicely enough.
That's a good point.
That like,
but I'll say the door is open. It's possible.
The door is open, and this is sort of okay. They were smart. They were smart. My hair's going crazy. They were smart with Lord of the Rings, and they were smart with D&D, and I think they're going to continue to be very smart in how they push things. Right. For example, there are very few Lord of the Rings legends like characters that are actually that constructively powerful, right? In modern, like, and maybe Boromir's the best. I don't know. Like,
sure.
It's like a cyborg card, right? I think like Sam. There's one of the Sams that's in a combo deck, but like that's it's not really like a staple card in the same way. Like the staple cards are all pretty generic, and they'll probably be smart enough to do that in these coming sets. I think it's going to be a little bit weird when you have like a Magic set with like, I don't know, like it's like Spider-Man has like robbers and like, like Spider-Man villains, right? Who are just like, superheroes. They don't necessarily feel super magic-y. It's going to be weird when like, but I don't know.
What about what was the fucking gangster set that was set
New Capenna?
New Capenna.
I mean, you're right. You like Tenacious Underdog was a boxer that like, died and came back from the graveyard. Like, you sort of like bought into it eventually. So yeah, maybe you're just right. I don't. I'm like asking myself right now, like, okay, it's
I don't think I'm right. I don't know. No one's right or wrong. Like it's happening, and people have their feelings about it.
I'm asking myself whether or not I'm gonna go to like a pre-release, right? For like,
Are you embarrassed by it? Like, I'm just trying to get at like, what's the hang up? You know what I mean? Like, why did that person say it's baby shit? Like, how is Final Fantasy any more baby shit than OTJ?
I mean, it's really true.
Bloomborough,
right? But like, see, I'm going off of like vibes.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, sure.
So I don't have like a super cogent argument. If you talk to Greg, right? Greg is like, this is good for Magic. It's going to bring people to the game. The developers at Wizards know what they're doing. They're going to try to thread this needle, and they're going to try to do it best as they can.
Yeah,
and that's probably true. But something about it just feels like we've entered this world where, your standard deck's going to need to have 3 Mowglis in the sideboard and a Doctor Strange for the control matchup. And it's we're getting pretty close to
Fortnitification.
Fortnite to Monopoly.
Which, again, I'm like, that is the landscape of the 2020s. Is like, you have kind of a delivery vehicle, and then you do all these brand collabs.
Yeah.
And why would they not do that? There's like money. They're leaving money on the table.
Money on the table for sure. Like and
it's like a way to bring people in.
Well, this is the other thing, right? It's like referencing the Goldfish podcast again, but like they talk about like people like the sheer number of players who have come in
the last 2 years.
From 40K,
yeah.
from Lord of the Rings. Like these are big entry points to people, and I think probably Final Fantasy is going to be another one. And this is not going to be the only Marvel set that they're going to do, right? Like they're going to do, they're smart enough to like space it out. We're only doing Spider-Man for the first run, and then we're going to do X-Men, and then we're going to do, the Avengers. Like they're going to, juice it over a while, right? So we're entering this like
it's a new era. Change is hard, man. I don't know, but things change.
I think. Look, we talked about this a little bit when the bans happened, right? And like we talked about how like cars don't inherently have value, but part of the appeal is that you're conned, you're scammed into believing that they do, right? And when cards drop in value and like they get banned and like you realize that you just bought paper, it feels bad because you feel like you got tricked somehow, that you made a poor decision, right? I think people have this enough people have this emotional connection to the Magic brand, and like I do too, because I played when I was in middle school, so I've got like some connection. There's a reason why I like have like a Snake Commander deck or whatever. It's because I have this connection to those older cards. When they print all of these, Fortnite like IP sets, you feel like, oh, was I dumb to like this other thing? Is this really special? It's kind of proved again and again that it's not really that special, and sort of the air is leaking out of the balloon.
I want to honor your feelings, Zach. And so I'll shut up. I'm not gonna say.
No. I want to hear you. I think.
No, I don't understand that hang up. How stuff can retroactively affect how you feel about the Magic. Like in my mind, Magic history is still Magic history, and it's just changed now. But you can still look back on those periods. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, you talk about like, oh, Zach, you should get, if you want to be a better competitive player, you should get a coach. You should invest some But then it's like, okay, I'm going to invest like this time and energy into this, into the Marvel set, so I can learn how to draft the Venom archetype better,
Well, I don't know. Marvel Snap. I don't know. You play a lot of Marvel Snap, bud.
That's really true. I mean, look, you're right. This is all stupid, right?
But I think it's all stupid, and don't worry about it. I don't know. But also, if you want to worry about it, do that.
No, I'm not like. See, I'm not. I don't know how I feel. Like I'm gonna.
Yeah, you're still feeling it out.
So like
parsing through the vibes.
My reaction, my initial reaction is I understand why they're doing that. It makes sense as a business decision. It makes sense for the game. It printing more, pushing this into modern or whatever was not sustainable. Like they needed some way to like make a big tent, and the big tent is supposed to be standard. Fine. I need to see how it's going to work in practice, because right now I'm skeptical that it's going to, like, I don't know, like sort of, I encourage you. Did you look at the Sam Ristic Studies article?
No, sorry, because you sent it to me while I was cooking.
Oh, okay. So Sam,
but I will.
Sam from Ristic Studies, the YouTuber, he has this article called, about they're calling this the foundations era of everything coming into standard. And, the title of his article is Your Foundations Are Rotten. And, honestly, he breaks down the different arguments for this universes beyond like becoming the norm, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he breaks out the arguments for him, and he sort of like tears them down in his style by saying like why are you so connected to this thing, I could like bring it up, but I think even though he doesn't like these arguments of like why you've done one thing or another, or why they've here, I'm just gonna pull it up. Your foundations is rotten. So the I think it's like 3 arguments, for 3 to 5 arguments of like for this change. So the first one is that fans of Magic have natural overlaps with other franchises. The other one is we want to grow the business and the brand, which he just basically says is greed. Don't yuck my yum. And then like yada 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 yada. Okay, maybe we cut that part out because I don't have a motion. My point is like he has. This
I was just like, let him cook. Let him cook. Where's he taking this?
No, you got to cut that out because I didn't get to it. Look. Reset.
Okay, reset.
Look. So Sam makes a bunch of points. I think most of it is like emotionally argued, right?
Sure.
And it's similar emotions to what I'm feeling right now, which is, I don't know. I need to see it, and until I see it, I'm going to be skeptical.
Yeah.
Right. I think he's trying to make it frame emotions in a more logical sense. I think a lot of it is just emotions right now. So yeah, I'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Yeah, the gatekeepers have to, get over themselves a little. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, I mean,
one thing I am dubious of, or seems very strange to me, coming alongside of it, was how they're like reconfiguring standards so that stuff doesn't rotate for like years now. Like they've dramatically changed that, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
like that seems weird. That seems strange to me.
So it's not that. So okay, what they've done is that standard was already extended to 3 years, which has been good for standard. Okay. I think a larger card pool is healthier for standard. The only thing now is that now there's going to be like significantly more sets printed.
Right.
Standard,
right.
Because
double.
We were like, we've gone from 4 a year to now like 60 a year, right?
Okay.
So it's like 50% more.
50, yeah.
Right. So there's that. And they've also said that like foundations, this core set is going to be legal for at least 5 years, but maybe more. Right.
That seems crazy to me.
I think the idea is that they want to pitch this set as like, okay, if you want to be able to play standard, these are cards that you can buy and own, and like if you like, these are not going to rotate on you, right? Like these are going to be like your foundation for your standard, gameplay, and you can swap out other strategies, but they'll always be like, they don't have shock, but they've got like lightning burst, right? Which is like basically a shock with kicker, and a lot of like there's always going to be Day of Judgment as like a white board graph, and like these kind of like the Lanalore elves, like these kind of strategies are going to these temple cards for different strategies are always going to be present because they're in this set. I guess that's their pitch. So we'll see how that works. This set looks more juiced than the average core set, but I haven't really seen too many of the previews.
Which we'll get to at the next episode 300. Will we ever get there?
Okay, now we should maybe talk about the future of the podcast in some capacity.
Okay. Well, good night, angels.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
I want to ask you. So, we don't know what the third Universes Beyond set.
Oh,
But
yeah.
But we know Final Fantasy and we know Marvel. How do you feel about these franchises? Are you?
I'm definitely less enthused about anything Marvel.
But are you hyped for Final Fantasy? Is that something that
I'm
excites
hyped for Final Fantasy. I think I think they did a really great job with Lord of the Rings and D&D. So that brings me, I'm like very confident that they're gonna do a great job. There's an amazing promo on YouTube of like someone from Square Enix in Japan talking about how he's loved Magic his whole life and so excited to do this collaboration. It's
Really?
very
I haven't seen
wholesome.
that.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Okay, we should maybe put it in here or something.
It's very wholesome, and it lit my heart anew with a burning love for all of Wizards of the Coast.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm hyped for Final Fantasy. I like Spider-Man. Of all the Marvel characters, I like Spider-Man probably the most. So yeah, I'm curious how that set will go.
Yeah, I wonder how they're gonna like get sort of like what are like the common creatures gonna look like in a Spider-Man set? You know what I mean? Like,
that's such a good point.
That's one of the things that I just like. I don't understand what it's gonna look like. You know, like Final Fantasy, I understand a little bit more, right? Like, what are
that's
gonna
a really great point. Is it all humans?
Yeah. So this is
are there like dogs?
This is sort of the thing that like this is what maybe I don't understand. Like when I think about like, okay, Duskmorn, like, okay, you know, what are the chase cards that are like, you know, making constructive archetypes or stuff? Like, what are the cards that we're gonna be like excited to play with from Spider-Man? You know, Spider-Man spinnerets and like, you know, Mary Jane, you know, whatever, like, or you know, the Daily Bugle as an artifact, right? Like, you know, I have a hard time seeing it in the Magic sense and like seeing it as cards that I would want to play in Standard. And you just don't want to have this. I think my fear, right? My fear is that it's going to be cringe, and it hasn't been cringe yet. I mean, SpongeBob is pretty close.
Zachy.
OTJ was cringe.
Zach, yeah.
OTJ
I
was
think
cringe.
we are living in cringe on some level. You know, I think it's all just a matter of perspective, but
that's got to be the episode title. We're living in cringe.
We're living in cringe as we speak. I didn't get to say this. I'm so hyped for Aether Drift because in my mind it's the Fast and Furious set. So
I mean, maybe there'll be Fast and Furious Secret Lair.
I'm really slated to have a great like first quarter of 2025 in Magic. So
well, I'm glad you're hyped because we.
Oh, thank you, man.
Because like you'll be hyped, and I think
I'll carry the flag.
You'll carry the flag. And I'll wait and see. I'm like, look, I'm pretty easy
and I think that's
please.
reasonable. And I think your feelings are valid, Zach. All of the feelings you had.
Thank you. I think, look, I'm easy to please, right? I have like even OTJ, which I really did not like the flavor of. You know,
you slopped that up. You slopped that shit up. Yeah.
I still wore the cowboy hat. You know, like. So, you know, when Final Fantasy rolls around, you know, I'll be like, you know, getting my chocobos and like, you know, my
Spider-Man set.
Buster sword.
Yeah, you're in a Spider-Man costume. Yeah, pre-release.
It's just like a huge bulge, just like.
All right, Zachy. It's wonderful to see you.
It's good to see you.
Next episode is 300. I hope listeners, viewers, can you like put a prayer into the universe that Tor and Mike show up?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see you in 25 years.
All right,
for the 300th episode.
Bye. Fix your mic. All right.
Oh no, it's a problem, man. Does it show up?